Welcome to the Next Gen Environment Leader. Every week, we're going to sit down with the people who are actually changing the environment sector from policy to product, and we're learning from the leaders who are defining the future, not just reacting to it. We talk about the hard truths, the systems that work, and the smart ways to scale your business and impact. I'm your host, Alex Rankin, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Anthony Conklin, VP of Virtual Sales for Trismart Solar in Texas, and founder and CEO of the AJC Group. Anthony is a hands-on sales leader with over 30 years in sales and 18 in solar. He helps growth stage companies, especially in solar renewables, scale revenue, sharpen leadership, and build sales teams that perform. He works with founders, CEOs, and sales organisations that want results, not theory. And his approach combines direct systems, coaching, and AI-powered tools that speed up execution without cutting corners. So welcome, Anthony, and thanks again for taking the time to join us today.
Thank you, Alex. I wonder who that guy is. I'd like to meet him. That's a pretty big resume I have to live up to, so thank you for that.
Well, it's obviously you. It's very impressive,
Thank
actually.
you. Appreciate that.
But before we dive into the technical challenges, I know you've got limited time today. I'd just love you to tell us a bit more about yourself and your journey and how you've got here, and whether there was particularly a defining moment or a pivotal experience that led you to commit to solving problems in sales leadership and the renewable industry more specifically.
So I think the best way to start is start at the beginning, right? I've always been in the performance and entertainment space. I was an actor on stage in school. I was a performer. I was into sports. I always liked to be in the action. I was always that type of person. And all through school, I thought, well, and this is back in the 80s, so I'm aging myself. I thought computers and technology was my way to go. So I got my first job on Wall Street, working in 5 World Trade Center for a company called First Boston Corporation. I got into technology and computers, and I did that for about 10 years. And then I worked on Wall Street, working for JP Morgan Chase. I worked for Merrill Lynch, some companies that are no longer around, Payne Weber. And I thought technology was my thing. But then I realized I don't like being behind a computer, and I don't like looking at spreadsheets. At that time, we used an older spreadsheet before Excel. The people watching this that are not old enough to remember, we'll leave it at Excel. So did a lot of that for a while. And then I decided in the late 90s to get into this thing called sales. Let me try it. So I had asked a few friends if I should try sales, and I'm like, sales is, I don't want to be sold. I hate it. And I didn't like sales at the time, but Anthony, look at your personality, look what you've done, look how you engage people. And so I tried it. So I started working for Larry Ellison's team in Oracle in 1999. I worked for Oracle Consulting, where we sold consulting services. And that was my first foray into solar. My first foray into selling. And I failed miserably. I made a lot of money, but I failed because I thought selling was just being a gift of gab person and using my personality, and it was very, very different. So I was introduced to consultative selling at the time. They called it spin selling, and I took a lot of courses. And then I just started getting into more sales director roles because I was the only salesperson, so they named me the director. So I was a producer and a leader at the time.
Yeah.
And then I finally took a job at British Telecom to travel the world. I traveled to wonderful countries. I was very blessed to do that. And then a friend of mine at the time said, hey, listen, I'm going to leave British Telecom. I'm going to go start a solar company. And I said, wait a minute, wait, time out. I'm not a tree hugger. I'm not going to sell solar panels on people's rooftops. That's what I thought it was. And what I didn't realize is that Citigroup had done a study and said that, hey, renewables will be the next big thing over the next 15 to 20 years. And it really took 10 to 15 years for it to really take off. So I helped start the first solar company in New York, worked there for a year, made some money. And then over the next 18 and a half years, I experienced different parts of the renewable energy industry, mostly as director of sales, leadership. I got into the commercial space, which is very different, really working in a B2B role. I was the CEO of a company called Solar Log, where we sold monitoring services. So I had a chance to work internationally with our German partner. I worked for a hedge fund called Entropy Solar Integrators, where we actually used balance sheet money to buy projects and sell them and make margins. So all these things hit me over the course of years. And then in 2018, I decided I wanted to start my own consulting company. I figured, listen, I've done this for a while. I have a track record. I can close deals. I can build sales teams. Let me go sell my coaching and consulting services, which was much harder than I thought, much harder than I thought. So made some great money, made some great connections. And then I started to pare down that, okay, well, during tough times, people are not going to hire a consultant. They're not going to hire a coach. So I said, okay, well, this will be good for a while. And then I had Tony Robbins on my podcast. So I decided, let me engaged in Tony Robbins. I'm sure you know who Tony is. We're old enough to know, or young enough to know Tony. And for the 5 minutes I spent with him in person, after having him on my podcast, you can find it on YouTube, Anthony Conklin, Tony Robbins. But when I met with Tony, I had 5 minutes with him. It was a life-changing, tear-flowing experience. He said, Anthony, whatever you're doing, whatever your gut pulls you towards, that's where you have to go. Where focus goes, energy flows. And the energy of being a leader and a strategist and a coach was really where I wanted to be. And that was in 2016, and I've done it ever since. So I've kind of run this road of coaching, consulting, and fractional VP of sales, and it's landed me where I am today. Actually, the engagement I have now is with Trismart Solar. I was with another company in Florida, and I called the CEO, who I was actually his coach for a while. And I said, Mark, I don't think the CPC is going to work out. I'd like to. And then in the middle of the sentence, he goes, when can you start? So over a year and a half ago, I landed a VP of sales, virtual sales with Mark, building out the virtual sales team. That's a lot in a short period of time. I don't think you just give you context. It's been a great journey. I've been in business for 30 plus years in the solar industry, coming up on 19. I love what I do. I love making an impact. And fantastic. I find what I do now gives me the ability to really drive that impact as an organization, as a person and as an organization.
Wow. That's a great journey that you've been on there, and it's great you've landed where you are doing something you love. And your role at the moment, it seems like you're wearing a few different hats. Well, as a sales leader and as a coach and advisor.
Yeah.
With Trismart Solar. And can you just quickly define what that role is and how you help growth stage companies like Trismart Solar?
Right. So when I came on board at Trismart Solar over a year and a half ago, we had a virtual sales place where leads would come in, and then they would pass them on to the door-to-door team or the in-house team that they had, and they weren't really prepared to do things virtually. And my job is to come in, assess where we are, understand what's the opportunity, and given I came on just at the time where AI was taking off, we were able to leverage some of the AI technologies and platforms to help build out virtual. So my job is to build out a virtual sales organization that collapses the time it takes from lead to close. So a lot of the pieces that are missing in the door-to-door space or in the in-home space, we're able to fill that with either AI projects or or GPTs to collapse the time it takes to get deals closed. So it's just confirming appointments, meeting with homeowners, getting them in the 15-inch screen. I call it getting them in the zone and being able to tell them a compelling story and getting them to invest in solar through a third-party ownership, or solar through what we call a microgrid, and having them produce and consume their own energy. So that's really what my main gig is, or what I'm focused on. And I'm also engaging with a few other EPCs that are outside the Texas market here in New England, where I'm helping them actually build out a virtual sales team. They found that their existing sales organizations are not producing, whether it be high churn rate with sales organizations, unable to build an inside sales team. The customer acquisition costs are going through the roof because of people being porched, which means they're left at the door, cancels, no-shows, drive time, gas, and all of that. And with virtual and AI, it's given me an opportunity to take the things that I've learned and bring them to EPCs and other organizations, HVACs, plumbers, and help them really grow their inside sales team.
Fantastic. And are you finding people are responding well to that shift to the AI virtual sales?
If you asked me that question a year ago, I'd say it was, it's a nice thing to have, but we're still focusing on this. Now we need to go virtual. I just spoke to an EPC in New York a couple of weeks ago. I just landed a contract with them this past week, and his father was running the business with him. And we had a conversation. We went back and forth, and he said, Anthony, I'm probably older than you. And, I come from the days of knocking a door and being in the home. And I said to him respectfully, I said, sir, I understand that, but that's not the way things are today. I told him the average buyer is between the ages of 30 and 40, and, they're into the digital world, right? Anybody over the age of 50 is we call old school. And I'm an old school guy. I am over the age of 50, so I'm an old school guy.
Yeah, me too.
But we're finding that virtual has really given the opportunity to a lot of these sales organizations inside sales to get more people in front of homeowners and business owners. So I would say that it's almost a 180, whereas Anthony, I need to go virtual. How do I do it? I'm actually meeting with, and actually after our call today, I'm meeting with another entrepreneur who's building a custom tailored suit business, and he wants to be taught, how do I do this virtual thing, and how do I become my own VP of sales? So that's another opportunity we're working on.
So it's not just in the solar space, you're working out
not just in the
across a
solar
lot
space,
of different
right,
sectors.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I notice one of the things that Trismart Solar does, which is quite innovative, is the whole 10-second design for using AI tools to get,
Yes. We're
I
using a
guess, the
great
design right in
tool,
front of the homeowner within a short period of time rather than waiting days for
probably 15
images and things.
seconds. So what we've done, we partnered with a company called Mona Lee. It's called the Artemis tool. When they click on the website, not to get too technical, they click on the website, they put some information in, and boom, they get automatic design. They can see what their system looks like. And that gives us information that when we meet the homeowner, hey, I understand that this is your system size, this is what your utility bill looks like. Let's start from there rather than starting from the beginning. It puts us, again, it collapses that time it takes from lead to close deal.
Yeah. And I noticed, I've been watching some of your videos on LinkedIn, and I noticed, really like your quote where you say, don't let AI think for you, let it sync with you.
Yes.
Can you explain what that actually means and how you use that to guide your selling journey?
That's a great question. In the beginning, we thought AI was just this funny tool. People treat it like another Google search. And now we've kind of swung the pendulum to the other side to say, well, let's have AI do everything. And I said, don't give up the things that you're really good at and give it to AI. Let AI be the tool to make you better. Again, don't have AI think for you, have it think with you. It's sort of when you lead, right? There's a great book by Anthony Iannarino, which you should have on your podcast. It's called Eat Your Lunch. And he says, selling is something that you not you do to someone, it's something you do with and for someone. So AI should be something that you do together. It's like a partner for you. So imagine, and you and I have probably been around a little bit, right? We'd say that, hey, listen, who do we hire as our VP of sales? Who do we hire as our marketing, our production, our technology, our marketing person? You can create AI projects and eventually AI agents that will do that with you, not just for you. So I've stressed that, especially for those watching this video, embrace AI before it controls you, because you'll eventually lose your job to AI if you don't start using it.
Yep, that's a good point. And I think I've been trying to, put out some posts myself about saying it should amplify the things that you do well and free you up to bring your own intellect and experience and things to jobs, not let AI do that for you, but it helps get rid of all the chaos and the tedious admin side of things and frees up your time and capacity to spend on other things that really matter.
I think you need to embrace the journey, as I would say, embrace the AI journey, because it's going to, when you look at the time that you spend, manual time that you spend on doing research, AI will give you the ability to get that information faster. And then you can qualify by having it ask questions. I have a whole AI section when I do coaching with people. And I'll give you something really interesting that I learned from another AI influencer she's great. Her name is Sabrina Romanoff. She said, it's amazing how uninvolved people are with AI. I'm not saying that right. I'm saying it's amazing how very few people really use it outside of like a Google search. So there's a huge opportunity to leverage that technology to make you better. Because as my mother always said, rest in peace, you can't be good for people unless you're good for yourself. If I'm good for myself, I'm good for my clients.
Fantastic. And what do you see as probably are there any particular regulatory bottlenecks or things that are standing in the way of expansion of the solar sector at the moment and your vision for where it could go?
I think solar's here to stay. I think the existing administration has really clipped the wings of a lot of the funding programs, but I think it's forced homeowners and forced business owners to think differently about what they want to leverage out of solar. Solar is, for the business owner, it's a tax play. How can I leverage tax intensive and tax benefits? And by the way, I get some savings. For the homeowner, it's how do I permanently and significantly reduce my energy costs forever? That's what solar is on the residential side. So AI and solar are very close partners because a lot of these new software platforms are leveraging AI tools to do quicker designs, to do quicker analysis on utility bills, to help get more lead generation. So you said something about regulation. I think nothing's going to stop AI. And they say there's a very famous line in the movie Jurassic Park where I forget the actor's name. He goes, "Life finds a way." Solar energy will find its way because it's a train that you cannot stop. It's a fast moving train.
And so if there was one major challenge today that you would try to address to accelerate the trajectory of the solar and renewables industry or use of AI in this space, what would it be?
I think it's education. I think people are genuinely afraid of change, right? They say when the pain of remaining the same is greater than the change, that's when you change. And I feel that a lot of homeowners and business owners I've met, if this conversation were 5 or 6 years ago, some people are still stuck in, well, I'm okay with my oil and gas. I'm okay with my gas powered generator. But when you start to look at the cost of electricity that's gone up consistently in double digits, it's doubled since COVID. And if you look at electricity costs over the last 50 years, it's gone up between 5 and 7%. In certain markets, it's more, certain markets, it's less. But I try to tell homeowners, I said, right now you're writing a check blindly to the utility. It's like trying to pay off a credit card debt that will never get paid off, and they'll always increase your credit line and they'll increase your interest rate. That's exactly what it is. So you have the ability to control it. Where AI comes into play is I get all the information from the homeowner. I understand what their pain points are. I can summarize our meetings like what we have here. I can summarize all of our meetings, pull out the blind spots, pull out the action items, and I can summarize it and say, give it to me in a way I can explain it to a fifth grader. I can give it to a homeowner without all the technology behind it. So AI has really been my right-hand man, as I would say, in help.
Smart Solar has massively grown its number of installations it's undertaking in Texas, up to tens of thousands. It's one of the biggest in the state now. Do you get involved with the issues around any operational or quality control risk issues with that sort of sales growth and what that involves?
Program called microgrid. So basically, we turn a homeowner into their own mini utility, where they can consistently produce and consume all their own power. And we've grown massively. I think we sold 923 of these since August, and it's put some pressure on our operational efficiency. But I believe very strongly that Mark, our CEO, has done a fabulous job of positioning our field operations team and hiring more people, leveraging AI to help us with site surveys and timing. So it absolutely puts. Listen, they say leadership thrives in chaos. And businesses also thrive in chaos. Structure is what you stand on. Chaos is what drives you forward. So we have managed chaos in our organization because that is how you grow. You don't grow. You don't grow steadily. You grow geometrically, as Tony Robbins would say. And we've grown geometrically. And we have over 17,000 customers. We're the oldest solar company in the state, number 1, number 7 in the country. We're the only business that has 4 years of positive EBITDA. So we're in a strong position because of the culture, because of the strategy, because of the people, and just because of the products we offer.
I think you also mentioned that you think most organizations are just one system away from being successful, I guess.
Yes.
And do you see that as mainly a sales system, or do you think that is just an operational system that might be, for example, introducing AI or some other quality control mechanism? Can you dive into that a bit further?
I would have to revise that statement. You're one AI project away from getting to the next level. You're one AI custom GPT from securing 5 more appointments, right? So whatever that outcome is, you're only one away. So you're one phone call away from the next. You're one system away from resolving the challenges you have, because everyone that I have met with has had a system problem. And because it could be so overwhelming and overbearing, they don't want to be able to go after it. So my style is very simple. Everything has to be a lead generation machine. You have to create leads and generate leads while you're sleeping 24/7, 365. With AI, it helps get the machine started and keeps the machine going. Mm-hmm. Then you have to have SOPs. SOPs can all be done with AI projects now. You don't have to go create some SOP program. You can actually dictate the SOPs to your AI project. It will generate it for you. And then you have to have a coaching mentality. You have to be a coaching, inspiring. Motivating is great. Motivating gets you started, but discipline and inspiration keeps you going. And accountability. It's confidence and accountability. When you keep people accountable, like I am accountable to you, you're accountable to me, that gives people, that's the system. The system isn't just one thing. The system is a mindset of how you think, how you want to take from point A to point Z. It's not just point A to B, it's A to Z. And A to Z includes all these steps. And most companies don't want to undertake that because they're afraid of it. And we're finding out AI has given us the opportunity to speed up that process and fill in a lot of the blanks. And, as I say, collapse the time.
Great. And so what's your vision there for where you think it could all go?
Wow. My vision for Trismart or my vision in general? Because I can give you both.
Let's talk about your vision in general, I think.
Vision in general is, I believe you'll have decamillionaires using AI in the next 24 months. Because if you think in terms of what a business needs, right? You had to have capital to start. You don't really need capital. You need $20 a month, right? Or maybe $100 or 200 or $500 a month just for software, right? You need a strategy, right? You need a plan. You need to execute, right? So if you are the visionary, me, the CEO, the visionary, and then I have an integrator, I have a partner, a human being with me, we can create these other AI agents to do that work for us. Within the next 5 years, you'll see 1 to 3 person billionaire organizations just by leveraging AI. So I think it's boundless. There's no limit, right? Just like there's no limit to your imagination. There's no limit to where AI can take you. I can tell you from my point of view, I have at least 20 AI projects, ChatGPT projects that I use for different features, and then I have about 15 or 20 different custom GPTs. So if I need instant report, I use a GPT. If I want to stack conversations and create like a filing cabinet, boy, that sounds old. If I want to create a file, I will use my projects. I can stack all my information. I can load all of my stuff into my project and tap into it. I mean, talk about a subject matter expert. My project is a subject matter expert that doesn't sleep, doesn't die, doesn't leave, doesn't complain, and always is there. Always. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but I mean it genuinely because that's where you need to be. I mean, we've solved a human problem with technology, but you need human oversight to really keep it working.
Yeah, I think that's right, because I think my experience is also that you can be wrong sometimes, and unless you've got bad data or they're asking the wrong questions, you can end up with, like anything, bad results. And so
garbage in, garbage out. But garbage in, garbage stays in and never leaves. That's the problem. It's like an uninvited guest. They won't leave.
That's right. I found that incredibly valuable and a great dive into both your experience as a high performance sales team leader and also particularly how you're being at the really forefront there of generating and using AI in that renewable space. And I really like your focus on the philosophy of letting AI sync with you and using it as a partner rather than taking over everything that you do, that you're still in the driver's seat. And I think that's kind of exactly the sorts of insights that we're hoping that our listeners are going to be wanting and listening to. And I'll provide a link to all of your resources, Anthony, in the show notes if people want to connect with you and find out more about your work and what you and Trismart Solar are doing. And just for everybody else listening, if any of the challenges we've discussed today, from operational chaos and the use of AI, sounds like something you'd be interested in, we've got a free resource that details the AI-powered workflows that we are building to help solve those similar problems and allowing high-impact firms to scale without increasing their headcount. So I'll also include a link to all of that in the show notes if people want to grab that. So just wanted to take the time quickly there, Anthony, to thank you again for sharing your expertise and those incredible insights and on being our first guest on the Next Gen Environment Leader podcast. And it was a real pleasure to meet you and to talk to you.
Pleasure's all mine. I wish you tons of success with your podcast. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you very much.
You take care.